The astonishment happened at midnight. On this blue night, with the smell of TNT, my homeland completely fell into the confusion of life and death. According to my father's decree, they were guarding the spirit. Great-grandmother's coffin was put in the central room and supported in the air by two supports. I slept under the coffin, and the soybean oil lamp shook tidily on the front side of the coffin. Many white candles were dozing in the dance of long incense smoke. Raw noodles, steamed buns, cube-shaped tofu, and potato jelly were covered with lead-colored paper dust. There was the sound of pile drivers outside, which was strong as a bull and sounded gasping, and my old home appeared decaying and lifeless. After the midnight, the spirit guards were almost all sleepy. Several uncles were still hanging in at the square table, with the blue light flashed in their eyes. They were all playing mahjong, and every card they put on the table was as heavy as a coffin. 2 bamboos, 8 characters. Sequence. The sound of their bidding was rattling in my ears, and the dream was flying neurotically sideways like a dawn bat. I wondered if they had fallen asleep. I was not sure. These days I slept like awake, and I woke up like asleep. Most of my dreams were true and false, hard to tell. I heard my seventh uncle said that, after the last round, let others comment continue. I vaguely heard my seventh uncle saying this, followed by the sound of shuffling, like the summer rain falling on the back of Thai Lake rocks. I was tranced a lot when I heard these sounds, but I heard the falling sounds clearly. Under the foreshadowing of God, I heard that sharp noise came from the edge of the sky, infinitely weird. I propped up, and the top of my head almost hit the bottom of the coffin. I smelled the weird smell of the coffin board and heard the sound of nails crawling on the board. I shook my head. At this time the room was quiet, and they obviously heard something. There was a grin and faint fear in the eyes that we looked at each other. They finally recognized the sound was coming from the coffin. The coffin, like a bass speaker, rendered great-grandmother's nails critique and discomfort to the coffin. My 2 hands then loosened. My uncles stared at me together. Their eyes were way too shiny and close to the biological limit. The nails in the coffin were weak and frustrated, like a rat in a cat's mouth, hopelessly screaming and full of death passion. Great-grandmother must have opened her cataractous eyes in the darkness and opened her toothless mouth. Great-grandmother was thirsty for light and space. Great-grandmother's 3-inch golden lotus suffocated enough strength, and hissed the coffin twice, dong dong. These 2 summative criticisms tore a gap in our backs, and the cold wind of 800 miles went straight into it. My 5th uncle said, "Open, open quickly." In fact, my 5th uncle's expression was not so complete. His tongue was as hard as bacon. My 3rd uncle did not speak at first. My 3rd uncle then said, "Why were the nails not cut off?" We then remembered great-grandmother's great sharp nails. This dangerous substance became the most thrilling part of the future rural legend. Then we held our breath tightly and devoted our whole life to listening. The sound was getting weaker and the pause was getting longer. In the end, everything was as calm as a coffin. Till today, I still think that great-grandmother's left index finger must be pointing up, and her elder woman refused to pull it off for her reason. This is actually common sense, but our family has been waiting for a long time. After the funeral, the descendants of great-grandmother straddled the torch. The torch built a wall between life and death in the wilderness. Not accurately. Cross the torch, and you will cross the life and death barrier again. The flames worked hard under everyone's crotch. The blue and purple smoke flew into the sky, changing various graphics, like the prophecy that the ancient left us. It was difficult to distinguish. I only knew that half of those words were written on sheepskin and half were written in the air. When we got home, we walked into the aisle and we couldn't help to stop. I said, "Take a look at the small attic." My father said, "Others stand here, and just we two go up." As soon as the door was removed, the cold wind from the last century came and grabbed with its long hair covering and long nails growing. The small building was empty. One bed and one dressing table. My father and I were at a loss, and curiosity fell freely towards reality. My father said, "Shoes, your son's little red shoes." As I stepped forward, my child's red shoe mouth was facing the bedboard under the bed. I saw my broken Nike again. Behind my Nike, a pair of grass-green Liberation shoes, elasticized single-cloth shoes, two-tile shoes, clogs. I noticed that these spirally arranged shoes were looking at each other with relaxed feet. They were confident and teasing. My illusion came alive at this time, and I saw my family came along in a long spiral line. They greeted me with my hometown dialect and my family inheritance look. Like time, they had no teeth but very thick cataracts. My father said, "What's going on? What's going on?" I was going to ask my father such words. Hearing my father's voice, I was then silent.